Good morning everyone, it's Helen Horta here, founder of Form Help, and we are going to go through the G2G Pass, and I believe this is version 3. So let's have a look. It says travelling to WA, make sure you have your G2G Pass. Now we all have to do our bit to keep our loved ones, communities and countries safe, so if you need to travel into WA, make sure you apply for an approved G2G Pass in advance. Now we'll go start application now. And let's look at the latest update. So the reason why we're doing a version 3 is because there was an update. So a state of emergency is in effect for all of WA under the Emergency Management Act 2005 WA. Travel into Western Australia is restricted. Now, quarantine is no longer required for triple dose vaccinated domestic travellers and fully vaccinated international travellers. And testing requirements remain in place, and you must comply with post-arrival COVID-19 testing requirements. Now, a G2G pass will be required for all travellers to WA aged 16 years or older and any child travelling unaccompanied. Now, applications can be made up to 60 days before your intended travel date. Most passes expire 7 days after your planned arrival date, and if your travel dates change, you should update the details to avoid your approved pass expiring, and you can do this by logging into your G2G dashboard. Now, receiving an approved G2G pass will not permit you to enter a remote Aboriginal community that is not open to visitors, and information about travel requirements and conditions of entry can be found at this link here. Now let's just have a look over here. So we've got the COVID-19 coronavirus travel to WA. I'm going to click on international travel. Let's have a look at the update. Now I know there is an update here. Okay, here it goes. So information for international travellers. So international travellers entering WA are required to meet the Commonwealth Government's requirements to enter Australia, including vaccination and testing requirements. So that is the DPD. Be fully vaccinated under the Commonwealth Government's requirements if eligible, and hold a current G2G pass. Now, taking a RAT on arrival is no longer required for international travellers. However, free RATs will still be available for all travellers arriving into WA through Perth Airport, and people are encouraged to take up use of the free RATs, and you must register any positive result with the Department of Health. Okay, so that was the latest update. That's one of the viewers brought to my attention, so thank you for that. Okay, we'll go back to our application. Okay, so we'll go to next. Now, consent to the collection and use of your information. When you use any G2G service, it collects personal information about you, including about any children on your G2G Pass application form. Now, the information is used to manage your request to travel to WA. It is also used for other purposes, such as to communicate with you about your travel and your legal obligations. Now, the information may also be disclosed to service providers who help us to operate and manage the app, including Genvis Pty Ltd, authorities, including those with COVID-19 powers and responsibilities, and those helping them, such as the State Emergency Coordinator, the Chief Health Officer, and other health authorities, and others, for example, to assist in managing various states of emergency or as required by law. So by selecting I agree in the checkbox below, you consent to the collection, use, storage and disclosure of personal information as set out above and in the G2G Suite privacy policy and the G2G Suite terms of service. Now please note, WA Police may prosecute those found to provide false and misleading information. So if you're happy to agree with that, then go ahead and select I agree and proceed to continue. Now, as you can see here, we need to go ahead and put in our personal details. And because I've already provided details for the G2G Pass in the past, it's already remembered some of that information. So go ahead and put in your first name, your last name, your date of birth, put in your contact number. So it doesn't have to be an Australian number. You can put in the contact number for the country that you're in currently. So go ahead and type in your country there, or scroll through until you find your country. Next, put in your middle name, your contact email, your gender, and you have the drop box there. Put in your country of residence. Next, you'll need to provide proof of identity. So provide photographic ID to confirm your identity. So select a document to upload and enter the document number and upload a copy of the document. So in my case, I will put in my driver's license, put in my driver's license number, and then select upload to upload my driver's license, or drag it into this box here. Next, you'll need to put in your residential address. So enter your current residential address and upload evidence. For example, a driver's license, a utility bill, a rates notice, or a phone bill. So go ahead and type in your current address here, and then go ahead and upload your evidence in this box here, or drag it in, and then proceed to continue. Next is the vaccination status. So important information: all applicants are required to provide proof that you are considered fully vaccinated according to WA standards or have a medical exemption. So suitable proof includes an Australian issued COVID-19 vaccination certificate, an international COVID-19 vaccination certificate, or a immunisation history statement. Now, proof of vaccination must specify each individual approved COVID-19 vaccination dose and dates taken, and if you've had immunisations in another country, you can have them added to the Australian Immunisation Register, and you can see this link here for more information. So next, you'll need to select your vaccination status from the list below and upload evidence. So you have, I am fully vaccinated. So to be considered fully vaccinated in WA, one of the following statements must apply. So you had a full course of an approved COVID-19 vaccine with a booster if eligible, had a full course of an approved COVID-19 vaccine and is currently booster ineligible, a direct international traveller with approved international proof of vaccination. So an approved COVID-19 vaccine is defined in this link here. So your other option is I am not fully vaccinated. So individual does not meet the criteria outlined in the fully vaccinated definition. So I have an Australian Immunisation Register medical exemption. So an exemption from having a vaccine due to a valid medical reason, and a health professional has registered the exemption with the Australian Immunisation Register. So for more information, visit to this link here. And I have an approved medical exemption from an international authority, and the requirements for a medical exemption from an international authority are detailed on this link here. So go ahead and make your selection, upload your documents, and then proceed to continue. So in this section here, it's for accompanying children. So again, there's a note here. So all children aged 15 and under travelling with you must be included in your application. Children 16 years of age and over must complete a G2G Pass registration form, and all children travelling unaccompanied need their own G2G Pass to enter WA. So if you're travelling with any children under 16 years of age, go ahead and select yes, and then go ahead and put in their details. So you will need to put in their first name, their last name, and their date of birth. If you need to add another child, then you go through that same process again, and then you proceed to continue. For this example, I'm going to select no, and then proceed to continue. Okay, we are now at the travel details, and then please note that applications can be submitted up to 60 days prior to travel, so that's great. And then over here you have your means of travel, so go ahead and select the mode of travel that you are traveling into WA. So you've got road, rail, air, and sea. Okay, we'll select each of these and we'll go through. Okay, so if you are traveling in by road, you need to please select your travel category. So we've got all these options here of why you are traveling to WA. So go ahead and select your travel category, put in your travel date, your estimated arrival time, your point of entry. So you've got those options there. Put in your vehicle registration number. What is your final destination address in WA? Put that in there. Are you traveling from overseas directly into WA in the 7 days prior to your planned arrival into WA? If the answer is yes, include your point of origin and any transit stops. So if you select yes, then you need to put in the country or countries you have been in prior to your arrival in WA. And for maritime offsiders, ensure you include last port of departure. So select from there, and then if you've been to any other states, travel through in the 7 days prior to your planned arrival into WA, also include those. And if you haven't, then select to none. And if you haven't traveled from overseas in the 7 days prior to your planned arrival into WA, go no. Select any states, or if there is no other states, then select none, and then proceed to continue. Okay, so we'll look at rail. If you are traveling by rail, then you again select your travel category, put in your arrival date, your estimated arrival time, your point of entry, put in your train number, select the carrier, and then what is your final destination address in WA, enter that in there. And again, this question here, are you traveling from overseas directly into WA in the 7 days prior to your planned arrival into WA? And if the answer is yes, include your point of origin and your transit stops. So if you go yes, put in the country or countries you will have been in prior to your arrival into WA. And for maritime offsiders, ensure that you include your last port of departure. Okay, and then if you've been to any of these states, or will, and then declare all the states and territories you will be in or will travel through in the 7 days prior to your planned arrival into WA, including during transit. So any that apply, and if there's none, then select to none, and then proceed to continue. For air, if you're arriving by air, put in your travel category, so choose whatever applies to you. Put in your arrival date, your estimated arrival time, your point of entry, your carrier, put in your flight number, what is your final destination address in WA, put that in there. And are you traveling from overseas directly into WA? If the answer is yes, include your point of origin and any transit stops. If the answer is yes, select the country or countries you will have been in prior to your arrival into WA. And for maritime offsiders, ensure you include your last port of departure. So for me, if I was traveling from New Zealand, I would go ahead and put in New Zealand here. And if the answer is no, then declare all the states and territories you will be in or will travel through in the 7 days prior to your planned arrival into WA, including transit. So select any that apply, and if there's none, then select none and proceed to continue. And the last one is sea. So if you're traveling into WA by sea, then select your travel category, so whatever applies there. Put in your arrival dates, your estimated arrival time, your point of entry. Put in your vessel name. What is your final destination address in WA? Are you traveling from overseas directly into WA in the 7 days prior to your planned arrival into WA? If the answer is yes, include your point of origin and any transit stops. So if you select yes, select the country or countries you will have been in prior to arrival into WA. And for maritime offsiders, ensure you include the last port of departure. And if the answer is no, select no, and then declare all the states and territories you will be in or will travel through in the 7 days prior to your planned arrival into WA, including during transit. So select any of the states that are applicable, and then if there are none, then select none and proceed to continue. And last of all, we come to the G2G Pass application declaration. And it says here, I declare the information I've provided is truthful and accurate. I acknowledge that providing false or misleading information may be an offence under the Emergency Management Act 2005 WA and punishable by imprisonment for up to 12 months or a fine of up to $50,000. And if you agree with that declaration, go ahead and press I declare and then submit your application. Now, because this is only an example, I will not be going ahead with that declaration and I will not be submitting the application. So in your case, go ahead and submit your application and you should receive an email confirming receipt of your declaration and whether it's been approved. So hopefully that's been helpful to those applying for a G2G Pass to enter WA. All the best. It's Helen Hortai, founder of Form Help, signing out.